The hummingbird is a very popular type of bird and one that people seem to adore. They are known as hummingbirds because of the humming sound created by their beating wings, which flap at high frequencies. Barfield Crescent Park is home to hundreds of hummingbirds, and because of this popularity, the Hummingbird Festival was created. It is scheduled every year at the beginning of September at the Wilderness Station.
So when we started the Hummingbird Festival, it was mainly just to celebrate and educate people on, a lot of people put out hummingbird feeders and have watched them all summer and just want to know more about them. So previous to Cindy being with us, we would have, kids' activities and crafts and just trying to promote that educational piece for the hummingbird. But when I found Cindy and started talking to her and she was willing to come down, it just added a whole nother element.
Cindy Rutledge has been coming to the Hummingbird Festival for several years. She runs her own nonprofit called Southeastern Avian Research, set up to study hummingbirds. She is part of a small group of master banders that place tiny bands on hummingbirds' legs, which makes it an individual so it can be tracked. They are safely trapped, placed in a bag, and then the band is applied. Usually, a lucky bystander gets to release it back into the wild. Cindy also does a winter hummingbird study. Hummingbirds typically in the winter months migrate to the tropics and back to the United States in the spring.
Winter hummingbirds are a hummingbird that you see after November 15th and before March 15th. We started noticing down along the Louisiana coast that we were seeing hummingbirds into November, December, and January, and they were just choosing to hang out on the Louisiana coast for the winter instead of making the arduous journey all the way down into the tropics. In November of 1990, the first winter hummingbird was banded by Bob and Martha Sargent right outside Chattanooga, and so that began the winter hummingbird study in Tennessee. And so if you put a feeder out and you have one, you're most certainly going to see it. And that's what happened with Megan and her family.
We went to your Hummingbird Festival in September and met Cindy. She gave us a demonstration and how you tag them. Molly actually got to let one go. And she said, keep one feeder out over the winter and you might be one of the lucky ones to get a winter bird from the Rocky Mountains, and I want to hear from you if you do. So I saved her number, and sure enough, on Thanksgiving Day, he showed up. So we called Cindy and she came like the next week. Told him it was a male Rufous hummingbird.
They are breed in the Pacific Northwest and the Rocky Mountains all the way up into Alaska. So it was making its first journey to the tropics and found itself in Tennessee and survived the winter because of the food that Megan and her family left out for him.
To date, there have been 288 winter hummingbirds banded in Tennessee, and Megan and her family were one of the lucky ones.
We've really enjoyed watching him all winter long. The kids, they're like, I hear Rocky. They can hear him. They see him come up, and it's been really, really, really exciting.
So here in the eastern part of the United States, we have the only breeding hummingbird is the ruby-throated hummingbird. So people love to put their feeders out because these birds are they're pretty and they're fun to watch. They're acrobatic. They can swirl around. It's the only bird that can fly backwards. They can hover in place. They're just really, really fun to watch. So it's really easy, and you don't need to spend a lot of money on it. They're attracted to red, so most of the feeders you're going to see are going to be red and have a red base. If you decide to do a hummingbird feeder, is to keep it clean. You can find commercial nectar out there, and usually it has additives. It's going to have that red dye that you don't need. All that can be toxic to the birds. So it's really best just to do it in your kitchen sink, and it's just a 1-to-4 ratio.
Since we got that last year, we just sit there and they just come right up, and I'm right there. And so, of course, now we can't help ourselves. We see them all the time now. If we've learned nothing else this year and had no more experiences at school, we have had our bird experiences, especially with the hummingbird.